Ba-ba-ba-ba-da. Hey, everybody. Hey, all you people. Welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture with sort of a chill stream today because I just didn't have a ton of news to talk about. So I thought I would pull out this old Colliers magazine I have. December 10th, 1954. Apparently it cost me $10. We'll flip through and we'll look at a few things. We'll look at a couple things, a couple reviews I wanted to do. Sorry, get my soda pop out of the way. But hey, how's it going, everybody? We finally got some rain here in Vegas. We're in monsoon season, which can mean a fair number of rain showers and some thunderstorms sometimes. It can also mean like 2 weeks of high humidity, and that's it. And things actually look drier when it's done. That's just how it works in the desert. But we got some rain today, finally. Like maybe 5 whole minutes. It's pretty good for us. So they got that going. But anyhow, let's take a look at this magazine. We'll just flip through while we chat about stuff. I haven't looked at it in a long while. But I think one of the main things, hey, man of war, hail, sir. I think one of the main things that appeals to me about these is actually like the advertising. Just, the art involved. And we're also hitting that transitional period between art and, paintings and photography. So you see a few good ones too. And of course, this is December 10th. So we're in the Christmas season. This was another weekly magazine. So we see we're giving Corby's. What are we giving? What is Corby's? Reserve blended whiskey. So probably Scotch. We're giving Corby's for a Christmas gift. Apparently their symbol was the parrot. Look for the parrot on every bottle of Corby's, one of America's favorite whiskeys. Because when you're thinking about Scotland, obviously parrots come immediately to mind. So, it's a little on the nose. I'm not very centered there, am I? It's a little on the nose, but, you can't blame them for using the traditional official bird of Scotland to the parrot. Hey, there's actually, okay, so little story time. Let me move this chair a little bit so I'm not squeaking it so much. Yeah, Lady Wendelin could tell me for sure. Oh, and apparently Yurt's out. Makes sense. That would be Yertle, the tortoise. So maybe it was like Tuesday, Wednesday. No, it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday because I missed Skinwalker Ranch. Tuesday, I'm at work. I get a thing from my wife. We've got a parakeet on the patio. And, good size too. We're not talking like a little budgie thing. We're talking like a parakeet. So not a giant parrot, but a parakeet. Like, okay. She said it looked like it kind of wanted to come in at one point. It's obviously lost. It was obviously somebody's pet at some point. I say, well, I go see if you can get it to come in. Obviously get the dog away because, it's hot out there and it's lost and we're a good shot at maybe helping it find its owner. So I get home. He was out on the patio still. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do here. We have an old bird cage, but how do I get it into a bird cage? Well, I go out and I sit on the patio and literally on the ground. It was sitting on one of our patio chairs. And I start talking to it from probably about 6 feet away. And I start scooting up a little bit at a time, trying to get it used to me. And then I eventually was sitting in a chair kind of across the table from it. So I wasn't real close, to the thing. I'm trying my best not to freak it out. And I was probably out there for about 4 hours, although with, I think, a couple 15-minute breaks. I ran in at one point and ate some dinner real quick. But it was hot. It was about 110, I want to say. Maybe down Was it 100? Or maybe it was more like 105. I don't know. It was hot. I'll put it that way. It was hot and humid. And, we're getting towards the end of the night. End of the day. Probably around 9 o'clock. And I'm thinking, I'm getting closer to it at this point. At this point, we're sitting on this little swinging thing we have. I got it onto a pillow. I'd pulled the pillow a little closer to me. I'd even managed to pet its head. It bit my finger at one point, just a little bit. But I'm going, I really don't want this thing out here all night. It's hot. We have cats in the neighborhood. I'm a little worried about this dude. But I'm also worried that if I kind of make a grab for it, it's going to fly away. And then who knows what's going to happen to it. We'd called a bird rescue, and a lady was heading over because I thought maybe they have a way of getting a hold of these things. But I'm kind of sitting there and I'm going, man, this heat, I don't think I could take much more of this. So I slowly kind of moved my hand over the top of it. And it kind of sat there, and I brought it down and grabbed it. And then I had to kind of pull it off the pillow because it had grabbed on with its little talons. And I got it into that bird cage. I could not believe it, man. My heart was thumping because I'm like, oh, please don't let me screw this up. But we got him in there and brought him into the house. And dude, it was a rush. I was really happy I was able to sort of rescue this thing. But here's the sad part in a way. Like 20 minutes later, the lady and her husband were there, and they took him away, so they could find his home. And they were obviously going to be better at taking care of the bird than we were. But I was like, dude, I just put in like 4 hours on this bird. I sort of felt like I earned it a little bit. I'm like, then he was just gone so fast. It was just weird. I kind of left me a little bummed out, that little dude. But so we saved a parakeet, though. Very cute, and I'm glad. And hopefully he'll find the owner. It wouldn't have been a good fit for us to keep him just with our dog. He's kind of crazy and all that. But I gotta be honest. I kind of fell in love with the little dude because I had to work so hard. That was our big story for the week. This is kind of crazy. This is an Al Hirschfeld drawing, Debbie Reynolds and Eddie Fisher. Appointment with O'Hara by John O'Hara. Okay, he's talking about here. I'm sorry the DiMaggios broke up. Genuinely sorry, and perhaps I can be more genuinely sorry than some people because I did not write one of those or one of the happy marriage pieces, and therefore am not stuck with honeysuckle vine from an empty cottage. His statement on the Fishers here, or future Fishers: 1, they are going to get married. 2, they are not going to get married. And under heading 2, you may insert 2A, which is the possibility that they are already married. This should clear it all up for you. But it's basically about Debbie Reynolds and Eddie Fisher getting married. Of course, the issue of that marriage was Princess Leia, but also not a great marriage because Eddie Fisher was kind of an a-hole, frankly. But anyway, I just thought it was funny kind of discussing it, pretty much saying, here's the deal. It's none of our business. So that you get married or not get married. But yeah, unfortunately for Debbie Reynolds, she did get married. She was cool. She had a hotel here in Vegas for years and years and years. Just seemed like a genuinely cool person. That hotel, though, gone, torn apart. Looking at this one with the shampoo, I almost thought it was somebody I knew, some actress I knew, but I don't think it is. Anyways, this is kind of interesting too with the phones. Back in the day when you just sort of rented your phone. Your phone was not owned by you. It was owned by the phone company. They just let you use it. You had to pay for it, by the way. Well, you didn't own it. Sounds familiar, huh? Paying for stuff you don't technically own. And there we got a Hirschfeld Judy Garland there. George Jessel claims he gave Judy her name. I claim I got her a booking. And even if I didn't, at least I waited 18 years to put the gentle knock on her. I think the gentle knock is talking about asking her for something. Anyways. Colliers magazine was a lot of like stories. I mean, fiction. Fleischmann's distilled gin. I know Fleischmann's margarine. I don't know. So, The $300,000 Pearl by Dan T. Moore, illustrated by Anthony Saris. The illustrations are a big part of this. They had some really nice stuff. It's amazing how many really good illustrators there were working in the U.S. at one point, because, I mean, you know, there was work for them to do. But, yeah, I'm trying to remember if I've read any of the stories in here or not. I think I read one or two of them when I first got it. And then, of course, I'm always getting new stuff. So we got the new 55s coming out at this point. Check out that friggin' Butterfinger. Look at that painting of a Butterfinger. That's kind of gorgeous, right? I mean, it's just a candy bar. But look at it. I mean, just, we can get a nice big close up there. It's really well done for a friggin' candy bar. Dominion Tin Canadian whiskey. This would all be on fire right now if it was current day. I'm just messing with the Canadians. Come on. Come on, Canadians. You produce a lot of comedians. You need to be able to definitely take a joke. It's the nation that created John Candy must be able to laugh at itself. You just have to, whether you like it or not. If you don't, then you're going to lose claim on John Candy. 48 States of Mind by Walter Davenport. This is not important. It's merely that the Redwood Library, Newport, Rhode Island, is the oldest library continuously in use in America. It was opened in 1747, Captain Mervyn Morrell writes, and some of the original books are still overdue. So I guess this is maybe just people writing in little facts about different states. Or maybe just Walter Davenport. Maybe people would get in touch with him. Yeah, I don't know if Nevada's in there or not. Probably not. We got alarm clocks. Always alarm clocks. Again, we're in Christmas time. So it's like the Christmas season of, I got to buy stuff for people that I don't really know that well. So how about an alarm clock? All right, here we go, folks. Proof. Fruit of the Loom, no cornucopia. This is from 1954. All right? 1954. No cornucopia. Deal with it. Deal with it. The reality did not change. You just got it wrong. I got it wrong too. I thought I remembered that cornucopia as well. I didn't. I just was wrong. It's okay to be wrong. Take it from me. There's a lot of people out there. No. Here we got Mars Bar. Like a chocolate nut sundae. Milk chocolate, toasted whole almonds, creamy nougat. So one of the few stories that's kind of floating around that is mildly interesting to me. Mildly. This man. It just occurred to me. I didn't open my note. I always have notes that I work off of. I opened that and I'm like, what am I going to say about this man? I've already forgotten. Oh yeah, my notes aren't sitting there. This is going to be the new editor-in-chief at Marvel Comics. His name is Stephen Wacker, returning to Marvel, replacing the dude who basically has seen Marvel go through a serious sales slump. Although I noticed a lot of people didn't want to say anything negative. I'm sure because he is politically in the right side for them. But let's be honest. He did a shitty job at Marvel. And true to form, he's got a different position now. They're not just saying, get out of here, you punk. He's got a new position. Marvel is now getting outsold by DC very, very regularly. A lot of it's the absolute line, which I absolutely don't understand, but I get it. People are into it. Cool. But Marvel should probably be doing better than it is. So a new guy comes in, and a lot of the pros that I follow here and there are like, hey, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. I think he'll do a good job. Kind of be honest though, when I looked at a lot of the stuff he'd kind of worked on, I was like, wow, like none of this is for me. So I don't know that this makes any difference to me in terms of whether I'm going to be purchasing new Marvel comics. I still don't think I probably will. Again, it's fine though. Like, you know, you got to produce what's going to sell. If he produces what sells, good for him. If he doesn't, well, then they'll probably find some other job for him to do because they would not want to admit that they hired maybe the wrong guy. That seems to be the thing now for a lot of corporations is you can never admit fault. I mean, there's always been an element of that, but at least when they're publicly traded or there was another higher up, they could admit that you were at fault, even if you couldn't. Now it's never like, oh, wow, this was a bad idea. They just go. Anyways, what do we got here? Man of War. Nothing brings more joy to my heart than watching a Gen Z or later try and operate a rotary phone or crank up car windows as a bonus. Yeah, man. Oh, tell me about it. Orange Wetsuit. Birdman, you are a hero. All right. Not sure who is it. I'm not sure where Birdman came in on this one, so I might not be getting that. But hey, welcome to the chat, Orange Wetsuit. Or maybe we're talking about the Mighty Heroes. That's a video I put out a while ago. That video did really well too. That surprised me. Anyways, the other thing is Marvel's headquarters is moving apparently from New York to Los Angeles. Now, honestly, that's obviously not a better business environment move because it's not a better business environment really when you get down to it. But I'm sure. Oh, you rescued the bird. Yeah, see, I'm old, so I've already forgotten what I talked about 10 minutes ago. I don't know if I'm a hero, but I was really happy I was able to help that bird. I really was. That's our second kind of weird bird encounter we've had recently. We had maybe a month or two ago, couple months, 3 months. We had a hawk show up hanging out in our backyard for a few days. Bathing in our bird bath. Good sized hawk, but not giant, but good sized bird. But bathing in the bird and bathing in the tortoise water as well. He was, which was great because it's dude, we don't really need birds bathing in the tortoise water. But at any rate, so we had the hawk and now we've had a parakeet and I don't know what we're going to get next, but I literally I think 2 days before the hawk showed up, I was sitting on the patio. It's nice, it's quiet. I was listening to all the birds and watching. We get hummingbirds in the yard, sparrows, a mockingbird that likes to cause trouble, and of course pigeons. And I was like, God, I'd love it if this was a sort of little unofficial sanctuary for just things. Lizards, birds, whatever. Be nice if this is a place they could come and be safe. And 2 days later, the hawk showed up, and I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe God was listening. Maybe it was just a chance encounter. But so we've had some interesting little birds lately. Anywho, LA. So they're moving to LA. I'm sure it's because they see the business now pretty much solely as movies, TV, cartoons. This dude was with Marvel Animation in 2013. So he's got a grounding in that. And there have been people throwing out the idea that they might just not be printing floppies anymore. Now, I mean, if they do that, that'd be a kind of a seismic shift for comic book shops. Although frankly, I don't know, man, maybe if it gave more space for indie comics and things like that, it would maybe be better in some ways because Marvel and DC, they're not quite what they used to be. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they're going to keep printing because I don't think the digital's really worked out super well, like they thought it would maybe work out for them. So I think they're going to keep printing, floppies at this point. They need better creativity. They need comic books that are actually comic books. And what I mean by that is comic books exist, and you could do different things with them, but they kind of exist. The Marvel DC stuff exists as episodic entertainment with sometimes 2 or 3 issue arcs, sometimes a longer one, or a miniseries if you want to have a particular story that you want to encapsulate. And it's episodic, and there's a certain solid state aspect to comic books, i.e. Clark Kent and Lois Lane, that you go 50 years and they're still, yes, because it's a solid state thing. And this is the reality of Clark Kent's life. It's 50 years of comics, but it's not really 50 years of time, even the compressed time they use. Comic books are kind of usually in a sort of eternal now, right? And the idea is different writers come in and come up with different adventures for the characters. That starts shifting in the 80s, definitely into the 90s, definitely into 2000s. Now the idea seems to be every author comes in and recreates the character for his or her own purposes. Maybe they use something from the past if they feel like it, but they don't have to, which has created a multiplicity of characters called Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman or Spider-Man or whatever. And they don't always mesh very well with one another. And they each have tiny little fandoms, and they've kind of killed their mainstream comics, and they have done everything in their power to kill the mainstream aspect of mainstream comics. And, maybe he'll pull them more back towards that way of stuff that kind of starts building a bigger audience and saying, okay, great, you're now in charge of Captain America, but this is what Captain America is. That's the character you're going to write. Come up with different things for him to do. Don't come up with a new version of Captain America for us. We don't need that, and we don't want that. If they can do that, they'll start building things potentially. And if they make them a little bit more kid-friendly, but something adults can still read as well, that would probably help a little bit too, because it would just broaden the potential appeal for these things and not keep it quite so narrow. We'll see what he does, but comics definitely need a little help right now from that mainstream. But I don't really care. I buy the facsimiles, but I don't really buy their new stuff, and I'm not lacking for reading material in terms of back issues, in terms of indie stuff, in terms of Kickstarters. Yeah, excuse me while I don't know what Breath Man of War says. Exactly. I don't get the feeling that they're going to really do anything here. And I think probably their focus again is going to be more on the entertainment, live action cartoon entertainment more than the floppies. But dude, you're kind of pumping a dry well here at this point. I mean, how many times can you do the classic stories? The new stories don't seem to do well, again, as mainstream things. So we'll see. That's about the only kind of pop culture news, other than a certain movie that's out that, if I'm honest, I don't really give a crap about. But that movie being out did actually bring something to mind I wanted to share today. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not really a Nolan dude, and as soon as I heard the word Matt Damon, I'm like, I'm out. I got better things to do than watch whatever this interpretation is. And that's part of the problem. I don't want to watch you interpret, give me your version of Homer's Odyssey. I'd like to see Homer's version of Homer's Odyssey to the best of one's ability within the limitations of budget and time. And it kind of goes back to those comic books, right? I don't want to see your version of Spider-Man. I want to see Spider-Man. I want to see Spider-Man doing Spider-Man things. I don't need to see your personal fetishes and your personal problems, writ large for this character. So I wasn't really interested in the thing. It was fine, whatever. And it's doing what it's doing. Some people hate it. Some people love it. It's kind of all over the place. But I saw a scene from it. Well, let me go back a little bit. I was talking with my wife about it, and I said, I don't know that I've ever read the Odyssey in its entirety. And now I'm thinking I might have taken a class on it in college, on the Iliad and Odyssey. I don't remember. It's like 30 years ago. I remember the class on Milton, Paradise Lost. It's a great class. But I had a teacher who went through something sort of page by page and kind of read it to us. And I'm going, was that the Odyssey? I can't remember now. But I'm going, I don't know that I've ever really read it cover to cover, but I'm familiar with the story. And I can see that some of the stuff being done in the new one is meant to invert things, and screw with it, which again, I also, really don't like. To me, that's vandalism. You take another artist's work and you screw around with it and change endings or whatever. To me, that's just a form of vandalism. Look, you want to do your own take on it, do your own take on it, but don't call it the Odyssey. don't call it his work. Call it something else. And then write about Odysseus and here's how I think it really happened. Whatever, that's fine. But so we were talking about like where I first encountered it, and I had forgotten my first encounter with Odysseus until I saw a very short clip of Matt Damon trying to shoot a bow and arrow. It was one of the saddest looking things I ever saw in my life. And then it hit me. I'm like, oh, my first introduction to the Odyssey was in this. Better Homes and Gardens' second storybook. Had this from childhood. It was something my aunt had, and maybe before her. It was published in 1952. And I'll tell you right now, if you are a parent, if you are uncle, aunt, whatever, and so there's kids somewhere in your life, and you want them to see some like the real stuff, the real stories, and these are shortened, obviously, they're excerpts, but they'll give you a good grounding in a lot of really great stories with original art from these things, oftentimes too. And this might be something you want to look for. I'll go past the name and old address. So this I've had since I was a kid. But I actually remember reading it somewhat when I was older. So Better Homes and Gardens, selected by Betty O'Connor, Meredith Publishing Company of Des Moines, Iowa. Copyright 1952. Little opening, but we'll get to the... so here's our contents. Pied Piper of Hamelin. You're old, Father William. The Trial of the Bow, and that's what we're going to be looking at real quick, like. The Apple of Contentment. How Boots Befooled the King. Both Howard Pyle. The White Cat. Would that be Mademoiselle La Comtesse d'Aulnoy? The Gnat and the Bull. So we got some Aesop fables. We've got the story of King Arthur. The Reformed Pilot. There's Perseus and the Gorgon. Very cool. Lobo, the King of Corumpa, etc. Rikki Tikki Tavi is in this one. Really, really, really great stuff. La Befana, an Italian Christmas story. So we want to go to page 29. And you'll see why that image of him really, really badly messing with that bow struck this memory for me. So, The Trial of the Bow by Padraig Colum, from The Adventures of Odysseus, copyright 1918, and reprinted by permission of the Macmillan Company. Illustrations from drawings by Willie Pogani or Pogani. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but he is an incredible illustrator. If you're not aware of him, Pogany, and he also did some designs for a really interesting old cartoon that I saw recently, and I was kind of like, that was him? Wow. So this is a sort of short version of the Odyssey, in particular one part of the Odyssey. It starts with, Odysseus is the most renowned of all the heroes about whom the Greek poets have told us. The Trial of the Bow tells of the final test through which the gods put Odysseus, before he was reunited with his wife Penelope, his son Telemachus, and his father Laertes, after 20 years of wandering and punishment because he had displeased the gods. So we get a very short version of the story, and of Telemachus waiting for his father, of the wooers and what they were doing. Here we got the Trojan horse. I love this art. I can remember tracing some of this stuff when I was younger for use with like Dungeons and Dragons. Because I couldn't draw and I still can't. So we get this whole thing and we go into the whole bow. Now the bow of Odysseus was amazing, right? It was such a heavy draw that pretty much nobody could handle it other than Odysseus. Even if they could pull it back, they wouldn't have been accurate because, their hands would have been shaking trying to hold this bowstring back. And so that was like a test for who this beggar who shows up really is. Can he string the bow? And that's the illustration right there. When I saw Damon, he it was like really weak and he was holding it wrong. And that's from a guy who's not an archer, but I could tell he wasn't doing it right. Yeah, tracing paper, the AI of our generation, pretty much. Yeah. So this is the image though that it struck me. I'm like, wait a minute, I've seen a drawing of him releasing the arrow, and I'm like, oh my god, that storybook, I'd forgotten all about it. But this is also interesting too, because this was obviously for kids. Listen to this here. Saying this, he nodded to Telemachus, bending his terrible brows. Telemachus instantly girt his sword upon him and took his spear in his hand. Outside was heard the thunder of Zeus, and now Odysseus had stripped his rags from him and was standing upright, looking a master of men. The mighty bow was in his hands, and at his feet were scattered many bronze-weighted arrows. It is ended, Odysseus said. My trial is ended. Now will I have another mark. Saying this, he put the bronze-weighted arrow against the string of the bow and shot at the first of his enemies. Now, they cut out a lot here. And if you know the real ending, oh my God, it's bloody. But what we get is, when all the wooers lay dead upon the floor of the hall, straightway the doors of the women's apartment were flung open, and Eurycleia appeared. She would have cried out in triumph if Odysseus had not restrained her. Rejoice within thine own heart, he said, but do not cry aloud, for it is an unholy thing to triumph over men lying dead. These men the gods themselves have overcome because of their own hard and unjust hearts. And then we get here, then husband and wife wept together. Next they told each other of things that had happened in the 20 years they were apart, Odysseus speaking of his own toils and sorrows, and Penelope telling what she had endured at the hands of the wooers. And as they told tales, one to the other, slumber came upon them, and the dawn found them sleeping side by side. So that was like my first introduction to Odysseus and his story. But it's really an amazing book, just for the illustrations, if nothing else. They're gorgeous, and they're from some of the greatest illustrators. And, you know, as old as this book was when I got it, the stories and the illustrations are, you know, from well before it was published. So it was a nice introduction to that. I think let's see, if we go through, see if we can find, yeah, here's the story of Perseus. There he is meeting the Gorgons. So Perseus and the Gorgon. I'm trying to see if I can find, oh, here we go. Yeah, so this I did a lot of tracing of for characters in D&D. Just awesome friggin' stuff. But you get the story of King Arthur. Love the color jobs done on this thing. These are probably still out there. This one's in pretty good shape. The binding's getting a little bit weak, but it's not too bad. But in terms of giving you a grounding in these really important stories, it's really great for that. So you might want to look for it, you know, on eBay or what have you. I got another volume that came along later. It wasn't one I had when I was a kid, but there we go. Sword, pulling it from that anvil. Or it says stone, but I mean, it's obviously like an anvil here. I'm trying to think, was it oh yeah, Howard Pyle did the art. Okay. From The Boys, King Arthur, copyright 1917. See, I mean, these are old as the hills, but really great stuff. But good for a grounding in this stuff. Hell, even if you're an adult, frankly. And you get some cool, there's an Arthur Rackham picture. And I didn't even know what I had when I was little, but when I got older, I opened it up to look at it, and it was like, oh my God, Howard Pyle, Arthur Rackham. I'd been going crazy over these guys, like finding their art online. And all of a sudden I'm like, dude, you know, hey, Raimi, how's it going, man? Been a busy week. Yeah, I know, man. Ugh. I know, I could use a break too. So there we go. A big element of the Odyssey is hospitality and the rules of hospitality. It was a commandment from Zeus. And remember, if you are an ancient Greek, Zeus means God. Deus, Zeus, Jupiter just means Father God. You know, so we think of, you know, and obviously the God a Christian worships is a different God. But that was their conception of God. And it was a commandment that you must show hospitality to strangers because they lived in a very dangerous world. But they were heavy, heavy rules. for how a host behaves and how a guest behaves. And if you broke those rules, you are breaking one of the fundamental laws of Zeus, and it went badly for you, right? And so you have Paris not being a good guest because he's stealing away somebody's wife in Helen, and that leads to that war. It's not just a matter of, hey, he took the most beautiful woman in the world. You know, it was, this dude has broken a fundamental law from the gods. And, you know, his dad didn't make it right. We have to go deal with this. The gods demand it, right? It's justice. We've got to deal with this. So there was more to it than just, you know, hey, she's really hot. But then you get that also with Odysseus. These suitors of Penelope have been bad guests. They've been abusive to his son. They've been annoying her. They were unwanted. They basically despoiled, like an encamped army. They despoiled his land, stole from the people, etc. Very bad guests. They had to die at the end of it. That's how it went. That was the justice of the thing. And frankly, in my opinion, what Nolan has done with Homer's Odyssey is a good example of being a bad guest. You're a guest of Homer and the Odyssey, my friend. You don't get to screw with his work. Stick to it. Stick to it. Long time. Yeah. And I'm going like, because I know Mars bars here were different from Mars bars in the UK. I'm trying to remember what our candy bar that was called a Mars bar there. But yeah, I know. I love the wrapper too. I love the art. Yeah, let's keep flipping through this thing. There's some great car stuff here. Look at that. The new Plymouth 55. Now on display at your Plymouth dealers. A great new car for the young in heart. Oh, look at that. You know, everybody's young once. Everybody is young once. Man, we yet another waste of celluloid. I know, yeah. And I can honestly say that. I'm never going to watch that movie. It has nothing that I want in a film. It just really doesn't. And again, I'm cool with everybody who loves it, man. Go love it. Get some, Milky Way. Yeah, I think you're right, man. I think Milky Way. No. Yeah, the Milky Way is what they call Mars over there, yeah. And then our Mars bar was different. I just saw a thing. What the hell was it in? But it was like an old ad. Well, maybe it was on Twitter, where they changed the name of the Marathon bar over in the UK to Snickers. So they gave it the American name. They called it Marathon. And it kind of annoyed people. Remy says, my dad had a 53 Chrysler. Yeah, I got a 56 Chevy in my dad's garage. Might get back one of these days. Still working on restoring it a bit. I drove it in high school. Look at that Dodge. It's cool. And we got the DeSoto. All I'm asking for is a modern engine, a current day sort of design, but I want it to look like that on the outside. That's all I'm asking for. 55 Dodge had an engine option of a red Ram Hemi. Yeah, some of those things, they had a lot of pop. And they made a lot of great noise too. Here's our Chrysler for 55. I love the two-tone. Cars are mostly kind of boring these days, man. They just don't excite me. I mean, if you're young and it's what's out, it's like, it's cool, you know? But because you live in the now, like we did too. I mean, it's not like the stuff from the 80s that I was into was necessarily the greatest stuff ever. I mean, it kind of was, but it's what was new, so it's what I was into. I mean, every generation has their own stuff that they get into. So we got our cars. We're manly today. We're manly today in the day. Now we got the 65th All-America team from college football. What is that? Honoring the immortal football figure. The new Walter Camp Memorial Trophy goes to Alan Amici as 1954 Player of the Year. And you notice on the cover, new face mask. We're still in that period. We're still in that period. It's starting to look a little bit more like the stuff I grew up on in the 80s. But now there's going to be more on this story, I think, later. But first, is bingo getting too big? It's exploded into politics, aroused churches, and forced police to resign. Why all this turmoil over a game? Well, if you've ever been around like old ladies playing bingo, and by the way, look at this crowd. This is the same essential crowd that bingo parlors have today. Seriously, man. They get freaking intense. They get super intense, but it was also a form of gambling. And that's not as big a deal today, but it was a big deal then. You remember back in those days, I don't know if it was 50s or if it was earlier, but pinball machines were illegal at one point because they were considered gambling. And there's images in New York of them taking a sledgehammer to all these just awesome looking pinball machines. So it was a big deal back then of exploiting people. And look, I'm in Vegas, and gambling can have a real problem for people. I mean, it can create a real problem for people. I've known people with gambling issues. And obviously there's a lot of them out there. So I get it. I get why they were going at it. But it feels funny because, bingo is also a game we played when we were little kids, like at birthday parties. So, like bingo. And I guess, it says here, no yielding to racketeers. In the face of these attacks, the commission has stood firm. The agency is receiving support from the governor, from other clergymen, and from many newspapers, one of which, the Wildwood Leader, wrote that racketeers would be most certain to follow the proposed amendments to the law, and to invite racketeers is to invite also crime and bloodshed. So racketeers were getting involved because, of course, they were. It's not a black pill, but you do got to understand that, like, anything organized by more than about, that involves more than about 3 people is going to become corrupt at some point. Just is. There's money to be made, lying, cheating, and stealing. It's going to happen. You just do your best, Ramey says, yeah, pinball was saved by a kid making a trick shot. Was he a deaf, dumb, and blind kid? Lady Wendelin, haven't had one in years. Are they still worth a damn, or have they succumbed to the plague? Oh, chocolate wax. Yeah. I know what he's talking about, because I have heard people complain. I think about Hershey's chocolate in particular, that it's gotten really waxy. You know what? The only chocolate bar I've really eaten recently is Japanese. And it's because we'd go over to the Daiso here in town, which is like basically a Japanese dollar store. At 100 yen store, but they have a lot of cool kind of stuff. So we'll go over once in a while, pick out some things. It's relatively cheap. It's just kind of fun. And they had these chocolate bars. Now the wrapping looks a lot like Hershey's. It's black and silver, right? And they're Meiji, named after the dynasty of the emperor. And they're pretty darn good. They're super thin chocolate, about a bar about yay big. And that's sort of my treat. It's like one of the only candy bars I'll eat, because most of them I don't really dig them like I used to. So that's the one. I'll grab maybe 1 or 2 of the Meijis and throw them in the fridge, and then eat them over the course of the week. But yeah, so I haven't had the waxy chocolate, but I've definitely heard about it. European migration discusses some problems with staff. Oh, Intergovernmental Committee for European Migration. Oh, okay, these are settlers in Guarapuava. What are the I love reading these old magazines, because you'll find stuff and you're like, oh my God, it's like they were predicting the future. What are the possibilities of this mass migration? It can tackle communism in Europe from another direction. Dude, what are they even completely talking about here? Now I'm interested. Hundreds of thousands are leaving Europe to start afresh in far lands. Some are even carving whole new communities out of the jungle. Is migration the answer to overcrowding and food shortages? Okay, interesting. Well, that's kind of how the United States was founded. But that's not that new. So they're basically talking about exporting Europeans everywhere. I don't think that's going to tackle your communism problem. They're probably bringing some of that kind of stuff with them, but interesting. We got a whole life of Winston Churchill in this thing. A cigar firmly clenched in jaw. Churchill makes the famous V sign, which was, well, you know, it sort of meant victory. It sort of meant something else. Sort of flipping the bird to Hitler. But, yeah, this is about the time, too, where Churchill leaves office and the socialists take power. And, you know, Britain gets to keep, you know, rationing for like another 20 years, even though it didn't really need to. Look at how gorgeous that is. The friggin' red on this thing. Oh my God. It's just a painting of a friggin' tomato, but holy Lord. That's amazing. Look at that. Look at the detail. For an advertisement. Campbell's. Good. Are you bittersweet or bitter? Simple act of eating cottage cheese sets off complex chain action. Taste buds located on the tongue send electrical impulses to the brain, which identifies food. The tongue has 9,000 buds. The signals it would be sending to me was, how the hell did this crap get in my mouth? And then I would probably spit it out. I am not a cottage cheese fan. I live with people who eat things that horrify me, but it's cool. It's cool. But I got to be honest, it's the smell sometimes. Like I'll walk out in the kitchen, I can smell yogurt, and I'm like, ooh, you know. But I don't, you know. I do obviously make smart remarks because I love these people, and that means I have to torment them. But yeah, interesting. That's interesting. The stories you get. That's what I was talking about in the Life magazine. You know, is like with these kind of magazines, you just didn't know what you were going to get each week or each month. And you would get things presented to you that maybe you'd never thought about or being interested in, and then you'd get it. Ramey says he's a Hershey bar guy. Okay, so Ramey, have you noticed trouble with? Yeah, you love it. Have you noticed any trouble with the Hershey's chocolate? I'm thinking that was the one some people were complaining about, and I think they just recently like tried to step up their game because they realized they had sort of let things fall a little bit. So let's see. I do like sauerkraut, but buttermilk I'm cool if it's used in a biscuit or when I make soda bread. Turnips I'm okay with. Spinach I'm okay with, but I like it raw better than cooked. Strong cheese. I'm not necessarily a strong cheese guy. You haven't noticed it. Okay. All right. Most exciting new refrigerator in 21 years. That, sir, is quite a boast. Oh, my God. No, let's be honest. This is better than current day refrigerators. It just looks badass. Look at all the stuff. Look at the eggs. Look at how it holds all the eggs. Although having to put them in like that would be kind of a pain in the ass. Dude, you got your bottles of Coke. Look at the big oh, look at those remember the big old bottles of like Pepsi and Coke and stuff? We didn't have that out in Vegas. But we'd go back to visit folks in Iowa, and they had them big king size bottles. Oh, dude, grab a big old icy king size bottle of like 7-Up or something. And we were like in a basement. We didn't have basements, and we still don't have basements. It's not like we got them all of a sudden. We don't have basements in Vegas. The caliche, there's no point to it really. Buttermilk ice cream. Interesting. Yeah. Buttermilk's hard to get out here, but, because when I try to do stuff like soda bread, Irish soda bread, great. Irish soda bread is almost like a giant biscuit in terms of the flavor. And I bake it once in a while, and you just like, dude, I didn't even know this article was in here. Oh, shit. But I take like a slice, toast it, just smother some butter on it. And that'd be dessert for like a week. It was just a big hunk of soda bread. So check this out. Monsters Made to Order by Joseph Layton. It takes all kinds of stars to please film fans. For some folks, nothing can beat a nice ogre, complete with gills and claw arms. Gillman, half fish, half man, was star of the film Creature from the Black Lagoon. Monster makers Bud Westmore, Kevin, Bob Hickman work on models of other planet heroes at Universal International. Team experiments with female monster suit fit starlet to plaster of Paris mold, which is later sculpted, filled with rubber, baked, painted. Dude, Frankenstein and the Phantom of the Opera mask were early UI successes. Raven is lab pet. They had a pet raven. How great is that? Look at that stuff, though. Dude. I didn't even remember this was in here. This makes it perfect. I got to read this whole article at some point. I've got to read. It's actually pretty short because that's the end of it right there. So it's a quickie, but I love the friggin' imagery. I got to maybe try to grab that with my phone and throw it online. That's really cool, man. Oh, yeah. And I have this in here. I don't know how this got put in here. Early agriculture, the Neolithic Vindhyas, or North Central India, basically. This was research I was doing for something, for a potential role-playing game, campaign thing. And ended up in there. I have no idea why. My guess is I was using it as a bookmark. Never Leave Me by Lottie Bell Davis. So once again, you get a lot of fiction in these books and these magazines. But just look at the friggin', just like this wasn't a big deal. This is just somebody knocked these out at a fairly rapid pace for all the stuff that was out there. Dude, I love that. Come on, man. But just the amount of skill. And there's still a lot of people very skilled. You just don't necessarily say, Howard Forsberg. Howard Forsberg is the artist on that one. You generally don't know who did these. I can see the top. This one is signed. But it's kind of tough to read, though. Somebody would know. The Bel Air 4-door sedan. So that's pretty close. That's a 55 Chevy Bel Air. Well, oh, no, that would be the 56. Because I'm like, wait a minute. That's the hood ornament I have. No, this would be the 56. Yeah, this would be the 56. Now, I don't have a Bel Air. I got a sedan. Bel Airs are very cool, but I got a sedan that is very cool as well. Don't let this boil away your antifreeze. I know what I'm giving for Christmas. I get it. Basically, it's a guy just scribbled a bunch of crap and he's like, I'm going to give it away for Christmas. Maybe that's the joke. Maybe not. Look at this. An exceptionally fine whiskey and have a keen sense of value. If you like fine things and have a keen sense of value, PM is for you. PMS, on the other hand, not so great. I like that this one, it's the, they're introducing all the new cars and stuff. Maybe it was 55. I swear to God, that's a 56, though. That looks like the 56. That looks pretty close, anyways. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting something wrong. That's a classic way of saying rot gut. Yeah, Bel Air was the top end. Yeah, Bel Airs are very cool. They're the top end. I don't have a Bel Air. I'm not the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Collier stories a lot were made in the famous movies. Yeah, that's part of the thing that I think is hurting the film industry now, is that you used to have a lot of magazines with a lot of short stories. Short stories are better to adapt to film than novels. Novels, you got to cut a lot of stuff out. Short stories work very well. They're about the right size. Maybe you need to pump it up a little bit, but generally speaking, short stories work great for movies. And you had so many people reading short stories. You had a lot of material to choose from. You go through any like old pulp magazine, sci-fi, whatever. You will read 3 or 4 stories in there and you're like, this would make an awesome movie. And it never got made. There was so much to choose from. And I keep saying, dude, Hollywood, go find some of this stuff. You can find it on the Internet Archive. You can find it from various people. Read these old stories. There's your friggin' movies. You want to do something original? Here's your original movie. So much amazing material that just kind of got passed up. But they could have made it. And yeah. Olds had a transmission that you could go as fast in reverse as you could in forward. I mean, that's awesome if you're the Duke boys. And hey, that was when like Uncle Jesse and Boss Hogg were driving back then, right? So that would work for those dudes. But yeah, here's Pullman. You know, your Pullman cars and railroads. Helen, I asked you if you wanted anything. Oh, yeah, it's still kind of true for a lot of people. Let's do a couple quick reviews here. I got this book last week and read it today. And I got it for Lopresti's art, primarily. It was pretty darn good, man. I really liked it. So it starts off, you almost feel like it's old school Zorro, right? And we get him crashing through this thing. And again, Lopresti's art is phenomenal in this thing. You want to know part of the thing that's wrong with mainstream Marvel and DC is they don't have Lopresti drawing books for them, and a number of other artists because of politics. Stupid ass political bigotry. This dude's amazing. So he busts out, and it's like, oh yeah, this is the modern day, right? I think this book's set a little bit into the future, and it's a slightly different. There's some vehicles that look a little more futuristic in it. So Zorro gets kind of cacked here, right? And we see this guy, Donnie. And so the story basically is that this guy has been playing Zorro in LA fighting crime. And his nephew went to work for him in a garage, gradually finds out about this when he sees his uncle showing up with injuries from his crime fighting. Kind of Batman here, right? But Batman's based on Zorro, so that's fair. So he kind of found out about it, and he's like, dude, what's with the sword and the whip and the hat and stuff? You need like to buff up you need ballistic armor. Why don't you use a gun? And he's like, no. And these guys are De La Vegas. They are descended from Zorro. He's like, no, that's not what Zorro doesn't do that. There's more to this than just fighting crime. It means something. We got to do this right. So his uncle finally is injured in such a way that he is not going to be able to do this anymore. And his nephew takes up the crusade. And, but he's taking it up a little more modern. I'll see if I can find the one image. And there we get him. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's on that page. So here we get him. He's lost the hat. He has the what do you call it? Kerchief sort of thing, mask going. He's got kind of some body armor. He's got this battle staff thing that he's using. Dude, this is like very Batman. It's got a little Punisher going for it too. But it's him, I think, trying to like step up his game. But at the same time, and we got a little glare on that. Let's see if I can get the glare. There we go. But at the same time, he's also going to try to, I think, live up to the legend as well. So I got this for Lopresti's art, and I'm like, I think I'm going to stick with this book because I kind of like where it went. Dan Abnett is the writer. Matt Ryan inks. Walter Pereira on color. Camila Jorge, I suppose, on letters. Clara Bartolozzi, editor. I could be badly mispronouncing those names, and I'm very sorry if I did. But I'm impressed. I liked it. And I did enjoy the Zorro. I got the first 2 issues of this one, Howard Chaykin. And I'm enjoying it as well. I got to say something. Colors, nice job. Modern day coloring in comic books oftentimes kind of gets on my nerves. It feels like it covers up a lot of art. And basically here you just get some imagery from Chaykin's Zorro, which is set back in the old days. And it's pretty good. I'm not in love with it, but it's pretty good. But I really dug this. So if you find Zorro's Legacy floating around out there, you might want to grab it. You might want to check it out. I thought it was really good. It feels like a good substitute for Batman. If you're missing like kind of classic Batman. Another thing I wanted to go over, I talked about this last time, was Pink Lemonade. Same creator of that Spirit of the Shadows that I was reading. So I'm like, I'm going to check this one out. This is an older series, 6 issues. Let's see if I can spread it out a little bit. It is, here we go. Come on, see now, there we go. Almost dog-eared this sucker. One of them. So it is an odd series. I kind of dug it, man. I think I'm sort of a Kenyeti fan here. It's this woman, and that I will say is a motorcycle helmet with stuff painted on it. So she has like a real face under there. She kind of is suffering from amnesia. She's really positive. Oh, another one. Really positive. It's kind of about pop culture. It's her encounters with this character that she'd half forgotten and falls in love with called OJ Bot. No, nothing to do with Orenthal J. Simpson. And how, it got twisted into something grim and gritty. It's about, theft of ideas in the art world. It's about people turning over new leaves. Dude, she's just so friggin' positive that I really, really, really liked it because I miss that in a lot of things. And I've known a lot of people like that, and I'm not Mr. Super positive, but I really value the people who help us get through things. So Pink Lemonade, it was cool, but it's a really odd series. It's, the dialogue has an oddness to it and an old fashioned sort of retro feel to a lot of it. So it was definitely something that would not be for everybody. I can tell you that right now. Like Spirit of the Shadows, not for everybody, but I really kind of dug it. I liked it, man. So I'm going to keep my eyes open for more of Kenyeti's work. There's OJ Bot with a big smile on his face. And there we go. There's the final issue. I liked it. And it was a satisfying story to me. It was cool. It was cool. Something maybe to check out if you like that weird sort of indie stuff, which I do. I do like a lot of that kind of thing. Another big Seagram's ad. Let's look at some coming attractions here because we're only got a few. Dark Horse. They're doing these Rankin Bass vinyl figures based on The Hobbit. So Gandalf and this goblin are up for pre-order at Big Bad Toy Store. Here's the thing. Well, first of all, I'm like going, is this a picture of the figures or is this a computer drawing of them? Oh, Lady Will had to improve your neutering. Oh. Anyways, it almost looks like a computer image of the figures, but they're vinyl. There's no articulation, okay, on these things. Now, they do look cool. They're $70 a piece. $70 a piece just feels a bit steep to me for these. I don't know, man. I love The Hobbit. I love Rankin Bass's Hobbit. I love the design and stuff. But, yeah, any rate, Raimi said, let me go back a little bit. Yeah, they could take a pile of Min's Pulp books and make it. Yes, they really could. They really could. And I've been saying, like, if you're a comic book artist and you don't have a writer or you're not a great writer yourself, but you have solid art or just want to get better at it, dude, you can find these things. They're public domain. Most of this stuff is public domain at this point. You got to check and make sure. But you could use it as the basis for a comic book. You could use it as the basis for an indie film. You can use it as the basis for animation. Dude, really good stuff. And some of it was like almost like hack work, but it was still solid, And yeah, hopefully people do that. DC had a Zorro character called Diablo, but he dealt with some supernatural stuff too. Yeah, I got one issue of Diablo, and it was like the last issue, and I was like, I don't know. Raimi Butler, Man of Work, talking to Raimi. Good is the operative there. I just couldn't trust their wielding of the neutering knife and making of them. Okay. Is that I'm not sure what he's responding to there. But he had to approve the term neutering. That's funny. Or maybe knife was an issue. I don't even have to try anymore for chunks of vinyl. No way. Yeah, for hunks of vinyl. Yeah, it just seems like those are way too overpriced. When I saw the first ones, I'm trying to say was Frodo, was one of them for sure. I was like, oh, that's kind of rad. That looks kind of cool. And then I looked at the pricing and I'm like, are you friggin' kidding me? These aren't actually action figures even. I mean, I wouldn't pay that much for the action figures, but this is Super 7. is putting out this t-shirt, and I kind of want it. It's a San Diego Comic-Con thing, so I won't probably be getting it, but I just wanted to show that off. Like, I want that shirt. There's probably another way to buy it, honestly. I just need to look into it. Micronauts, so also Super 7's putting out, well, 2 Micronauts they've already put out, but they're putting them in these cool-looking boxes, so if, you're a nut and you need to own everything, you got that. Okay, so not impressive so far coming attractions, but this next one, I really, really dig. Planetoid Raiders. Okay, if you're an old fart and you like weird stuff, these, they're 1/18 scale, basically Star Wars figures. They are based on the original Tomland knockoff figures that tried to ride the Star Wars wave back in the day. Those Tomland figures are goofy looking as hell, and they're really hard to get. They're very expensive because they were knockoffs out of Hong Kong. Not great, but look, Grandma would buy them because she thought they were Star Wars figures. They're kind of fun, man, and these guys are basically recreating them here. Now, these are the folks, Wandering Planet Toys, who did the recent Kolchak figure, which I haven't got yet, but I'm excited about it. It looks good. I'm getting up. They're giving updates, so it's not like it's just dead. So this Kickstarter is going to go live soon, and I will almost certainly be dipping in on this one because I've kind of wanted to collect some of these dudes over the years, but never could quite get to the point where I put that money down. So there we go. Planetoid Raiders, Wandering Planet Toys. If you're into that old kind of knockoff stuff and just love old retro, just, guys who say this would be rad, let's do it, and they do it. They bring this crazy stuff to life. You might want to check that out. That's it for coming attractions. That's all I had this week. McFarlane has some stuff. And frankly, I'm kind of sick of McFarlane. Schizophrenia by Tony Taylor. But yeah, there's not a lot. Oh, look at that. The totally new Ford for $55. Yeah, that's got to be a 55 Chevy. Maybe they had a similar hood ornament going for into 56, or God, maybe I'm just misremembering what it looked like. Oh, must be somebody from the SPCA. Oh, that's funny. Newsy family visits cost so little by long distance. Yeah. Back when you had to pay. Some of you guys remember, long distance was expensive. You had to call between certain hours to get the cheap long distance. I remember those days well. Here we got some General Electric stuff. Wait a minute. Do they got no percolator? No percolator. Hard Day at the Office by Herbram. There were so many people who just wrote little comic strips. That's funny, though. Here he is chatting with friends at the diner, at lunch, having a good time, smiling, gets home. Now he looks dead. All right. There are times when work can be like that, but most of the time it's not. From Ship to Shore. That's pretty cool. Oh, Draw Me. All these old Draw Me things. Look what Muntz has done to TV. 27-inch for $200. All right. 21-inch, $140. Okay, that's interesting. UHF optional, slightly higher in the West. That'd be true nowadays with California, but let's see. Trying to find the little. There we go. So we're looking at $200 in December of 54. I'll even do exactly December of 54, since we can nail it down that perfectly. So that TV set would be the equivalent of about $2,500 nowadays. Yeah. So you see, the TVs nowadays aren't necessarily all that different, in terms of price, but much more technologically advanced, although in some ways I don't like. But again, for $55, General Motors leads the way. There's Chevrolet. Yeah, now that does look slightly different. So you might be right. That could. Oh, that's a Cadillac. Oh, never mind. I saw Chevrolet next to it, and I went. There's the Buick Roadmaster Riviera, and the Oldsmobile Holiday. Oh, wow, man. So cool. So cool. You don't hunt bears; they hunt you. But the question is, do they? Well, no, we won't ask that question here. Look at that. We got friggin' Durante and Donald O'Connor, who was in a movie with Debbie Reynolds. Tune in Texaco Star Theater starring Donald O'Connor or Jimmy Durante on television Saturday nights, NBC. Yeah, they would do that where they'd have they'd kind of trade, every other one would be O'Connor and then the others would be Durante. There's Old Granddad. That shows up in a bunch of old stuff. Rexall Drugstore. Here's all the cheap crap you can buy. Those always freak me out with those faces. Like where it'd be like a fuzzy body and then the normal face, but it always looked a little wrong to me. It didn't scare me as much as the Madame doll, but a few things did. That's too expensive. How much would a mug, something like yours, cost me? Oh, that's like a plastic surgeon, I think. Oh, man. All right, we're almost through with this thing. We'll whip through the rest of it. Hertz Rent-A-Car Service. I don't know if somebody was marking this page or what. I'll just leave it folded, though. Oh, look at that. It's taken off from, kind of looks like the moon. The little alien is having to pick up all the crap they left. I'm telling you what, man. So many of the things people complain about now, they complained about then too. Basically, that human beings kind of suck. And what a beautiful head of cabbage, too. All right. Oh, that's cool. A new generation of Navy fighters. Another example of continuing progress in rebuilding American air power. United Aircraft Corporation. Oh, so it is kind of an ad, basically. Young men. New generation of fighting jet aircraft depend on highly skilled naval aviators. You may qualify as an aviation cadet. Ask any Navy recruiting officer about the NAVCAD program and a career in the U.S. Navy. And maybe you can grow up to be Maverick or Iceman. Manowar says, you think about it, an Atari 2600. Yeah. I know. It's crazy how expensive some of those things really were. And so people get angry about the prices nowadays, and you're going, well, I mean, it's about what you paid for something that was a lot less impressive back in the day, honestly. What's that one? Let's see. Okay. So modified Delta Wing, for Navy's first supersonic combat airplane, the Douglas F-4D Skyray. Notice they're still doing F-4D. That was the Navy's designation. And sometimes it was, did they use P? No, I think it was always F for fighter. That was the role. 4 was like the, version number, and the D was the manufacturer of the airplane. But those codes sometimes the codes are weird for who the manufacturers are. Here we have Grumman, the F9, F8 Cougars. And I think Grumman was F, I think was their code. So you'd think it'd be a G, but I think somebody else got G. McDonnell Aircraft's F3H, North American Aviation's FJ3 Fury. And that's a slightly different, schema. FJ-3. Oh, there's Chance Voughts. Yeah. Those were cool. Those were some of the first ones that kind of looked like what jets were going to look like in the future. That was an early one. I can't remember what it was called. I was doing all this stuff for that Grit and Vigor role-playing game that I wrote. Putting all the data together so I could stat those things out. I got a massive database of military vehicles, firearms, normal cars, normal trucks. It's everything. So I could create stats that would work in the game and actually make sense from thing to thing. I guess you could call her a stenographer's stenographer. Yeah, that's because the boss would actually just be using her as a stenographer. I wonder, oh my God, I'm Polly Redtop. I wonder were the jokes about bosses and secretaries back in the day because it was really happening, or because it really wasn't happening, but that was just kind of the joke that most of these guys weren't creeps, but I don't know, maybe they wanted to be, didn't have the time, and the women weren't going to put up with it. But I always wonder, like, Del Monte Ketchup, the only catsup made with pineapple distilled vinegar, the superlative vinegar that brings out the best in ketchup flavor. Interesting. Wonder if, I'm sure that's not even remotely true now. Everything's just basically corn syrup in some form or another. More booze. Unless he sneezes again, we're not likely to get another one like this. That's pretty good. Blowing glass. All right, let's wrap this dude up probably. I wanted to end with one extra little thing. My favorite thing I saw on the internet this week. Oh, that looks like that's a printing error right there. You can kind of see it, how it's stuck out. You do get those every once in a while. Where there was a fold in the paper, so it didn't get cut properly. My favorite thing on the internet this week, a lot of folks probably heard the story of the fellow that got hit by the buffalo. I know one person in particular who laughed like crazy about it, and I have not let her forget that, because the dude was hit by a buffalo. But this artist, what was it, Travis Chapman? Travis Chapman at on Twitter, on X, it's at Travis Paints. This is his. He wanted to make a positive out of all this, and so this is the happy ending he imagined for the buffalo and the guy. It's really, it's the buffalo's face, and the way he's got his arm over the dude's shoulders just kind of made me laugh. So there we go. Just trying to put a happy spin on an unhappy event. Looks like the dude's okay ultimately, by and large, and it doesn't seem like he's bitter about it. But dude, you got to stay away from things like that. You just got to stay away from things like that. You don't know what those animals are going to do, and they're freaking huge. So much bigger than people probably imagine them to be just seeing them on TV. But yeah, let's hope that all of us in the end can just have a beer and be friends after we smashed one another. At any rate, so coming up this week in Dad's Den, assuming I make these videos today, on Monday we're got Mighty Thor Monday still going. I'm taking a detour into Balder the Brave. We're going to be looking at Balder the Brave number 2. It's kind of interesting if you think about it. Balder gets this miniseries. Balder was never like a major character. Oh, and here's the football stuff I said would show up later. He was never like a major character. He wasn't getting a miniseries just because, hey, he might be the next big thing. I think it's really because Simonson had an idea for an interesting story to do. So kind of cool. Because some of the miniseries, it's like, oh, this character's popular. We got to come up with something for him and see if he can get his own, regular series. And this is just, I think, really born out of the fact that he thought he had a good idea. So who do we got here for the 65th All-America team? Max Boydston from Oklahoma, Don Hollader, Army, Jack Elena, UCLA, Sid Fournay, Louisiana State, Jim Salisbury from UCLA, Bud Brooks, Arkansas, Kurt Burris, Oklahoma, Ralph Guglielmi, Notre Dame, Dick Mowgli, Rice, Howard Cassidy from Ohio State, Alan Amici from Wisconsin. We got a couple Big Teners in there. Too much Pac-10 though. I don't feel comfortable with that at all. I don't feel comfortable with that at all because I grew up in the Big Ten, and therefore the Pac-10 is in fact the enemy. They're the enemy. And the fact that the friggin' UCLA and USC are now part of the big conference, I'm like, no, sorry guys. Kind of dead to me. Those dudes in particular, those teams in particular, no, this is not happening for me. 40 issues of Colliers. What did they want? Bill me $1 a month for 3 months, or just bill me for $3. $3 for 40 issues of this magazine. Think of all the reading material that that represented, though. Like, that's an amazing friggin' bargain. The Body Snatchers. There was a terror stalking our town. We knew what it was now, and we knew it meant to get us. I don't know if I realized this was in here. Oh, dude. How friggin' rad. Oh, now I know I got to sit and read this. That's amazing. So we got Creature from the Black Lagoon in here. We got some fighter jets. We've got the Body Snatchers. But I don't know. Is this like the Invasion of the Body Snatchers? Was that written by friggin' Jack Finney? I have no friggin' idea, honestly. I've seen the movie. And that's like about it. Let's see. Jack Finney. Body Snatchers. Yes, we'll just, obviously I want you to search for the damn thing. Yeah, oh, that's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Oh, man, I didn't even realize I had this. I probably did when I first got this, and I forgot. But the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Oh, dude, I got to sit and read this. Maybe I'll do a video on that. Congratulations, Slade. By way of promotion, in 1955, you will be summoned by one buzz instead of two. All right. So on Monday, we got Balder the Brave #2. On Wednesday, I'm going to have a review of the Return to the Planet of the Apes animated series from 1975. Very cool. It's got its flaws, but it's very cool. And the imagery is freaking amazing in that cartoon. So we'll look at that on Wednesday. And on Friday, I'm going to be doing a review of an old TSR game, kind of a board game called Warlocks and Warriors. I think they were just trying to snap up all the, word and word that both started with the same letter. But we're going to take a look at that board game. It's a kitty. What is this? The Seven Wonders of New York. I'm assuming the cat is not one of them, although maybe it was just a really, really cool cat. Nothing stops Manhattan engineers. Challenged by man and nature, they respond by performing minor miracles. Well, they did back in the 50s. And here we have a little bit more of Winston Churchill and Lord Calvert, probably Scotch. And here we have the end. Chesterfield for a happy holiday. A holiday with a lot of coughing, but still a happy holiday. And that'll do it, folks, for Dad's Den of Pop Culture this Sunday. Hope you enjoyed it. I know it was just kind of a chill, waste of time sort of thing. But, I didn't have a whole lot, and I figured, what the hell? These magazines are amazing to look at. It's something, if I find them at a decent price, I'll snap them up at antique stores and things. And it's the stories where you're going, oh, wow. Like, this is a 70-year-old magazine, and that story is kind of relevant to this day. Helps you understand how history sort of really spreads out. But thanks, everybody, for showing up today, who watched, who listened, who participated in the chat. Man of War 665, Lady Wendelin, of course, Ramey Butler. And we got Orange Wetsuit. Am I getting that right? I'm scrolling up to make sure I got it right. Who talked about me saving a bird, and I'd forgotten that I'd even told the Orange Wetsuit. I'd forgotten that I told the story 10 minutes earlier. But thanks for everybody for being in the chat. I love it, man. And for watching. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you had a good time. And that'll do it though for me. I will end as I always do with God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another, because it's kind of rough out there sometimes, and try to have some fun. That's the main thing, man. Like, I know life sometimes is rough, but try to find some fun out there anyways. And I will see you hopefully again soon in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye, everybody.